Okay, so we are going to start this chapter number 8 in investment appraisal. So the topic is investment appraisal. Our main focus will be to calculate NPV and IRR. But before I start on to NPV and IRR, we need to understand one concept. We call it time value of money. And we say that a dollar today is not equal to dollar tomorrow. Or you can say that money loses value with time. Now, what does that mean? What is it? We need to do discounting. We need to do compounding. But I will make a very humble start. I'll create very simple example. It's an very important topic, and I don't want to miss any minor or minute detail. So we will try to learn it fully 100% without compromising on any little detail. Okay. So we start with a very small example. Say that, let's suppose we invest $1,000 for a period of 3 years at 10%. So what we have been given, that we are investing today $1,000 at 10% for a period of 3 years, and how much the investment will be at the end of third year. So that's a very simple thing we create. So we say that what is here, year 1, year 2, year 3, and we have $1,000 here, and we are investing it at 10%. So our profit for the year 1, we will earn $100. So that is your interest, because you are investing it at 10%. So your $1,000 will earn $100, which is the 10%, and your amount at the end of the year will be $1,100. So this is beginning of year, and let's call it this is end of year. And then what will happen, that in the beginning of second year you will have 1,100 in the bank account, and now your 1,100 is going to earn 10%. So it makes it 110, and you make a total. And then in year 3 you have already 1,210 in your account, and you earn 10% on that, and your total investment will be 1,331. So you come at a number 1,331, which means that your $1,000 today, in 3 years time, if they earn 10% return, you get 1,331. Now, if you pay attention that in first year, your earnings were only $100. In second year, your earnings were 110, and then 121. Your profit is increasing because your investment is increasing. Because what is happening, that whatever profit you earned, it was added to the principal. And next year, your principal amount becomes 1,100, and then you earn some interest, and then it is added, so it is moving up. And this example, which we are doing, we call it compound interest rate, okay? Let me call it compound interest. Compound interest means that interest over interest, which means that your interest starts getting earned, your interest starts earning money. And that is why in next year, actually this was $10 more. Why it is $10 more? Because this $100 also earned 10%, which was 10. And that's why it is 110. And then your profit, your interest was 210, and 210 multiplied by 10%, $21 came on the top. This is called compound interest. There is one more thing which we are not interested, but that is called simple interest, okay? So in simple interest, you will earn $100 every year. You will not make 110 or 121 because your interest will not earn interest. So every year you will have 100, 100, 100. We are not interested in actually simple interest. So let's just remove it. We talk about compound interest. Now, what we need to understand here, we have few terminologies. We call it present value, we call it future value, and we call it, I, let's call it I, and we call it N. What are these things? Let's define them. So this is called present value, And in our case, it was 1000. FV is your future value. And in our case, it is 1331. And I is your, now that's a tricky question. What is I? For the moment, you can call it interest rate. It could be opportunity cost. It could be called as inflation. And more appropriately, it is your WACC, weighted average cost of capital. What is weighted average cost of capital? I will speak in some time, although there is a full chapter on WACC, which is chapter number 15. And it is pretty strange that they have put that chapter as chapter number 15, but I will explain you in very short. So actually this I is, in fact, it is WACC. It is nothing else than WACC, but because the concept of WACC is little bit difficult to explain at this point, general understanding I will give you, but in detail we'll do later. You can consider for the moment that this I is what you will call it as your discount rate, you can also call it, okay? So there are different understandings. You can call it your inflation, you can call it your interest. So far you can assume like this. And then what is N? So sometimes students, they think that N is number of years. N is not number of years. Actually, N is your number of discounting periods. Number of discounting periods. Sorry, I would write down here compounding periods because I'm doing compounding. Number of compounding periods. What does that mean? So the term compounding itself, what does that mean? Compounding means calculating the interest and adding it to the principal. So we have an investment of 3 years, and at the end of every year, we were calculating interest and adding it to our principal amount. So we did compounding 3 times, 1, 2, and 3. So every time you calculate the interest and add it to your principal amount, the process is called compounding. And what we are doing here, we are doing annual compounding. If I would call it, this is an example of annual compounding. Annual compounding means that you are compounding your interest at the end of year one time during a year. And therefore, in our example, there are 3 years and we are doing annual compounding. So our N is equal to 3. So don't mistake it like this is 3 years. This is not 3 years. This is the 3 compounding periods. And by chance, within 3 years, you have 3 compounding periods. So N is equal to 3. And in our case, this I is, say, 10%. So these were some variables. And we said that if we put $1,000 today at interest rate 10%, and if I do annual compounding, my investment will become 1331. Okay. So this thing which we just did, how do we see it here? You've got present value here. And let me put it a little bit below, which is, say, $1,000. And you've got here the future value after 3 years, which is, 1331. So how did we come to this values? So what happens that you have got this time frame, and let me just make it like this. So what we did actually, our investment, it grew, and starting from 1000, we moved and made it to 1331. So this process which we did, we call it compounding. So this process which we made, we call it compounding. So I call it compounding here, okay? And compounding is what? The compounding process, it says that, okay, let me just expand this place. I need some space. I'll make it like this. I would call it that compounding means finding the future value, based on present cash flow. So you have a present cash flow, and based on that present cash flow of 1000, you calculated the future value, which was 1331. We did it only for 3 years. What if they tell us to do it for 8 years or do it for 10 years? So if I have to do it for 5, 6, 7, or 8 years, I need to make a much longer table. And such a long table, probably it is extra, it is taking time. So what we can say that actually you can find out the future value. You can find out the future value based on some formula. Okay, so you need to have some formula for future value, and the formula for future value is, let me write down here. Your future value formula is that future value is equal to present value multiplied by 1 plus I, the interest rate, and you say it power n. That's very simple formula. Future value is equal to present value multiplied by 1 plus this interest rate, discount rate, whatever you may call it, or cost of capital, WACC, power n. So if we have to write down like this, we'll call it future value is equal to 1000 multiplied by 1 plus 10%. 10% I would write like 0.10, and I call it power 3, because in our case this n is 3. And then we write down here, and please allow me to remove this future value thing so that the formula will work, and you say that it is 1331. It's the same number which you calculated before, but here you did it with the help of the formula. Now, if you have it for 8 years, let's suppose we say that if we are putting this money at 10% for 8 years, so how much will be our investment end of 8 years? All you need to do is just replace here, instead of putting here 3, you can just put 8. I mean, I can put 8 here. And if I put it here 8, I would say my investment is 2143. So your $1,000 would become $2,143 in a period of 8 years. Now, this thing is called compounding, and this is our basis here. Now, the thing is that, luckily or unluckily, compounding is what we started with, but this is not something which we need. We don't use compounding actually in business. What we need in business is called discounting. We go the opposite way. This is what we use in our business or in our syllabus, in exam. We would be talking about another process which is called discounting. Let me write down here discounting. And what does discounting means? Discounting means that, finding the present value, PV, present value of future cash flow. Okay, this is it is the opposite thing. You are just given this number. You don't know this 1000. You are given 1331, and you have to find out how much it is in terms of today. So this value you have to calculate here. Okay, so this is called discounting. But before I move forward to discounting or compounding, let me explain something in a very simple way. What is the relationship between 1000 and 1331? How do you see these numbers? In a very simple way of explanation, we can say that money loses value with time. $1,000 of today is actually equal to $1,333 of after 3 years, which means that what you can buy in $1,000 today, if the inflation or interest rate is 10%, you would be needing $1,331 after 3 years, because money is losing value with time. Today you can go and you can buy 1 kilogram of meat for $3. You give $3, they give you 1 kilogram of meat. But 3 years later, probably this is 2020, in 2025, they would ask you to give $5. It is the same meat, it's the same animal, it's the same meat, but they would be asking you more money because your money is losing value. Please do not think about your exchange rates between dollars and sterlings and dollars and euros. I'm not talking about exchange rates. I'm just talking about dollars. So there is no impact of exchange rate differences. I'm just saying that whatever, if you can buy 1 kilogram of meat for $3 today, in 5 years later, you would be needing $5. It's the same meat, but the dollars are not same. You have to give more. Now you have to take out 2 more extra dollars because $3 are not enough because the dollars have lost value. So money loses value with time. $1,000 of today is equal to a $1,331 of after 3 years. Whatever you can buy at for $1,000 today, you would be needing $1,331 after 3 years. This is one basic understanding. So now what we need to do, because what happens in business, we are interested in compounding. I'm sorry, in discounting. Because what will happen in business, they will say that, you invest today $100,000 and then you start receiving your cash in future. So they say that you invest $1,000 now, 100,000, and you start getting, I don't know, 45,000 here, 45,000 here, 45,000 here, 45,000 here, and you need to take decisions. So we would be talking about discounting more. So do we know a formula for discounting? So actually, this is the formula for compounding. We know that. Discounting formula is the same. It is just a rearrangement. We would say that because we need to know present value, we say that present value is equal to future value divided by 1 plus I, and we say power n. So we just rearranged, okay? You take out present value on the other side and you rearrange the formula. So this is the formula for present value. Let's suppose we don't know this number, okay? Just for a while, we forget that we don't know this number. So if we have to put the formula here, I would say that my PV formula would look like this. Okay, I'll copy paste here. And then I need to put the values. Present value is equal to, I don't know the present value, I have to calculate. My future cash flow is 1331. I divide it with 1 plus 10%, and I say power 3 because I'm receiving it after 3 years. And then I copy paste it here and allow me to remove this PV thing, and I put equals to sign. It gives me $1,000. So you do it from here, you do it from there, answer is same, the formula is same. So this is a very simple concept of compounding and discounting. And we say that the money loses value with time. So 1,331 after future, which you are receiving in year number 3, its present value is just equal to $1,000. So money loses value with time.